Welcome to The Right Chamber, the podcast that takes you inside the NHS to explore what really makes a hospital a hospital.
Each episode, we sit down with the people who keep healthcare moving, from doctors, nurses on the front line, to students, the support teams, administrators, corporate staff, and everyone in between. These are the voices that often go unheard, but together they form the heartbeat of our hospitals.
Our aim is simple: to share authentic stories that are accessible to the public, meaningful to NHS staff, and a reminder that healthcare is more than treatments and wards. It's a whole community working together.
So whether you're part of the NHS family or simply curious about the people behind the service, join us as we open the doors to the conversations that matter here in the Right Chamber.
Dr. Andrea Gate has been a consultant anaesthetist at Dudley since 2008. Over the past 4 years, she has played an active role in advancing sexual safety at work within the Trust, contributing to the Sexual Safety Charter steering group and supporting wider initiatives to improve workplace culture and safety. Paul Singh is Head of Equality, Diversity, Inclusion and Workforce Wellbeing at the Dudley Group. He provides trust and system-wide EDI leadership, chairs the Sexual Safety Steering Group, and leads implementation of the NHS Sexual Safety Charter. Paul is passionate about psychological safety, tackling inequality, and turning insight and lived experiences into measurable change. Welcome to The Right Chamber. This is episode 3 of 3 in our series focused on sexual safety in the NHS. And today we're looking at what happens next.
We'll be exploring the actions being taken across the NHS, including the Sexual Safety Charter, and how these commitments are shaping expectations around behaviour, accountability, and organisational responsibility.
This episode isn't just about policy, it's about what those commitments mean for practice, for staff, for leaders, and for the culture of our workplaces.
Before we continue, we'd like to include a trigger warning. This episode discusses topics related to sexual harassment and inappropriate behaviour in the workplace, which some listeners may find distressing. Please take care while listening and feel free to skip this episode or take a break if you need to.
So whether you're a member of staff, manager, or someone wanting to better understand how the NHS is responding, join us as we unpack this episode in this series.
You may already be familiar with Dr. Gate from the previous 2 episodes, but we are very pleased to welcome a new face to join the discussion today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Paul Singh, I'm the Head of Equality, Diversity, Inclusion and Workforce Wellbeing at Dudley Group.
Welcome, Paul.
Welcome. And today we're going to talk about what's being done about the sexual safety issues in our trust. In the last episode, we touched a little bit on a survey that you guys
we did
created. That was a really well done job. So tell us what have you guys come up with after the survey?
Okay, so shall I start? So there's a sexual safety steering group. So we set that back up in 2023. NHS England set a charter, a template charter back in September 2023. And we were asked to do a benchmarking exercise in terms of what are we doing, what are the gaps within the organisation. And Andrew had already started looking at the sexual harassment survey. So we would use that in future in terms of kind of shaping some of the pieces of work that we were doing. The Sexual Safety Steering Group is made up of various stakeholders, internal stakeholders. So we've got clinicians, non-clinicians, we've got safeguarding, got equality, inclusion, wellbeing. You've got other staff networks there, HR, trade unions. So it's key stakeholder input. And when we did the benching exercise, there were quite a few gaps and some strengths in terms of some of the work we already were doing around bullying and harassment, active bystander and things like that. But the benchmarking exercise set a standard in terms of what the expectations of the charter are for an organisation. So in threefold, the charter is looking at accountability, promoting confidence in reporting and improving reporting mechanisms for staff if there's an incident of sexual safety.
That's great. Summary: accountability, promoting confidence, and then how people can speak up as well. Okay, brilliant, brilliant. And this chart is quite widespread group that you mentioned. So this is going to be applicable trust wide. Admin, non-admin, clinical roles can all benefit from familiarizing themselves with this charter.
Absolutely. So we say from ward to board, really. So there's senior leadership accountability as well with the charter. So we've got the medical director, who is the sponsor of this sexual safety steering group. So you've got that accountability. So the medical director then will take concerns, issues, and also reiterate the important message of sexual safety at that board level. So that was really, for us, was really key, wasn't it, in terms
Yeah.
of getting that exec sponsorship and actually giving the confidence for staff that actually you've got that senior executive buy-in, that we are going to start looking at that cultural shift and improving mechanisms for sexual safety.
So what's been done about to make sure that staff or non-admin staff is aware that something like that exists? Because we talked about people are not
So
reporting.
communication is probably one of the hardest things I think we've found. We've done a lot of work. We've created a policy on sexual harassment and sexual safety at work. We've done an awful lot of work with reporting. We've set up some training, which we'll perhaps talk about in a bit. But getting it out there is by far the hardest thing, because there's so much communication that comes out from the trust that people just get an overload. And also some people just don't have access to the trust intranet. So we have it, or we've had it on screensavers. It's gone out in the bulletins, in the know that goes out in the trust. But it's trying to be inventive and find ways to get it out to people that don't engage or can't engage with the trust communications. So we're still looking at, we talked about this in our meeting only yesterday, actually, that we're going to look at putting more posters out and in like changing rooms just with information on. We've got our tagline is "It's never just a joke." So that's going to be on all the posters with a QR code where you can get to the wellbeing page and the sexual safety page on the hub, but you don't have to be on a trust computer to get to it, which provides information and support. So we're looking at going out to huddles. We've been in the junior doctors. We've been talked about in their forum and in the junior doctors newsletter. But getting all this information, that the stuff that we're doing, making sure people know about it is, I think, the hardest thing, isn't it, Paul?
It is, and I think we have started to socialise the charter. Andrew mentioned the sexual misconduct policy we launched last year. So it's that engaging with various division departments, teams. We're very fortunate we've got good relationship working with the wellbeing team, the Guardians. You've got the Freedom to Speak Up Guardians, and so improving that engagement. We do walkabouts as an equality and inclusion team with our organisational development team. So we do try to do as much as we can across the organisation. We've got several sites, haven't we, as well? So we talked about improving that as what's going on the other sites, just to let staff know who they can speak to. And we've got safety guardians. So we are looking at actually named people that colleagues can go to, so trusted people, give them a bit more confidence. And so that it is difficult, but we are trying to do as much as we can in terms of engaging with our staff at all levels. Really, it's really, really important. And I think with the "It's Never Just a Joke" campaign and the strap line, I think that has helped us to increase engagement, because that campaign was on terms of, we often hear, it was only a joke, it's only banter, but actually we know that language is minimized in terms of some of these concerns and issues. So the importance of that campaign was engagement, building confidence, and actually we are here to listen, and actually we will take these concerns very seriously.
Hmm. That's great to see. And it's like, I love that it's not just this pushing out campaign, but you're actually going to the huddles, you're
Yeah.
actually, going where this information is needed, and also making it accessible. So it's not just on, your trust computer, but even if it's
Yeah, yeah.
your phone or, you mentioned the different websites, people can connect to learn that, yes, there is help available and this is how you can.
And it's important that like you guys are going on to, clinical areas or just admin areas, because when it's just a poster or and someone, you know, accesses it, they need to know that there's actual people,
Yeah.
humans,
Yeah, yeah.
who are looking at whether we're engaging with them or not. It's not just going to an AI bot
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
it's like,
definitely.
oh, I feel this way, and ChatGPT is answering the question for you instead. They want to know that humans are involved
Yeah.
and we are going to be listened to.
Yeah, there's a team behind this, and not just that there's a team, we can see them because yes, they come to our huddle, and I think you've mentioned that as well as this Tempe charter, there are also some other things that are being put in place, such as training. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Andrea and I and Paige, the Wellbeing lead, we'd used the national teams and NHS England put out a few modules, I think, around sexual safety on the back of the charter and the policy. So we've used the localized data, so the data from the sexual harassment survey, some lived experience as well. So they are scenario based, and we did a pilot session with the Medical Concerns Forum last year, and we had some really positive feedback in terms of the content of the training. So it's very much scenario based. It talks about legal definitions. It talks about the support we offer, and actually what can line manage to do in terms of having that well-being conversation with somebody who raises or does a first disclosure, for example, that this has happened to them. So we provide that guidance within the training. I think we share case studies I've mentioned and scenarios, and it's not just around it happening on a hospital site. There's scenarios where it happens in the community. So when
Where
staff
people are very vulnerable,
absolutely very vulnerable, when staff are going out in the community where they may have patients who maybe subject them to harassment, bullying, or something of a sexual nature. So we do highlight that as well. So we're going to officially launch the training now, and there's a planned rollout for a year for the next 12 months. So we're going to be doing a 1-hour session each month. And I'm pleased to say, actually, the session we've got planned for this month, we've already got 67 people booked on.
Wow.
And that was
it's
people
amazing.
coming forward just to say, yes, I'm interested. And we've got managers, line managers, admin staff, board clerks, middle managers on that session. So it's the message is getting out there that we are going to be taking this seriously. We've got this training that we encourage you to come on. Encourage your departments, your teams, your managers to come on, because it's such an important issue.
Yeah, we're very pleased with that. With the engagement, with the training we've set up. I mean, we're hoping later on this year that it, I think from NHS England, the part of it is going to become part of mandatory training. But the fact that we've had this much engagement before it's mandatory, it shows that there's a will out there to find out more and to change it and to be involved, which is great. We also do, Becky Cook does the active bystander training, which is another really important aspect to it, I think, that what you can do if you witness something, how to become an active bystander is the current key phrase, rather than just a witness. If it's safe to do so, how can you speak up, or how can you support that person at the time or afterwards, and the rest of the team. So we do offer that training as well. So again, it's getting the word out there and getting people to come and do it. And then the other training, the Train the Trainers course I went on recently to look at this culture training in departments. That is the next thing I think we're going to talk about, how we can go out to departments and start doing some training there. The sexual safety training that we're running every month, we will also take to departments. If there's a group of people that want us to come, we'll happily do that.
I like the idea about like the active bystander training, because I was in London Tube and there was a poster about if you see someone being harassed, just pretend to be their friend.
Yeah.
And then divert that conversation to make them feel safe.
Yeah.
Perpetrator will just step back on their own. So it's just little steps like this sometimes. Like, even if you don't know someone, just know that someone looks.
It's like the feral auntie movement, isn't it? That if you see a young girl being, harassed or something, as you can take a role as an aunt or whatever, and just go up and pretend you know them. And by having some support, young girls that are told to look for a mother, somebody with children, or another female if they're being harassed by a male on the street, and that you can, there's a growing movement of, of women saying, yeah, if any girl comes up to me, I will be your aunt.
But it shouldn't just be women. Like,
I know, but
men and
the reality is, there are a lot of men who you could do that to, but you don't know who they are. So what do you do? It's
asking for too much.
Yeah, I think. Well, no, because the reality is there are lots of men you could do that to, but if you don't know them, you don't know that.
Yeah.
And that is the problem. But yeah, that's different. But yes, so the active bystander role is actually something that just talking about and maybe thinking about, when you're not in a situation, often asking people to explain something de-escalates by being forced to explain. If somebody says something that's inappropriate, if you just go, oh, sorry, I didn't understand that. What do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
That by being forced to take a step back and explain it. No, sorry, I still don't see why that's funny.
I think there's also that part where like people, an active bystander, when they see someone being harassed and that person who's, in that situation, just is stood still.
Yeah.
Not saying anything, not doing anything.
Rabbit in the headlights.
And they, you could just be like, well, they're not reacting, so it's fine. You, like, from experience, you don't know what to do, because your mind's thinking like, is this happening? Is this person really saying all these things to me? So for someone to go up and say, are you all right? Like, oh, I was just about to go get coffee. Like, oh, are you coming too? Like, oh, what's going on? Like, just break the conversation, because that breaks that spell.
And to say to someone afterwards, that made me feel really uncomfortable. Were you all right with that? Did you make... Because I've been in so many situations where someone says something and you smile and laugh, and inside you're thinking, oh my God, that's not an appropriate thing to say. But you look around and everyone else is kind of smiling and laughing, and you're like, oh, maybe it's just me. And if somebody had come up to me and said, that made me feel really uncomfortable, are you all right? I'd have gone, oh God, no, that made me feel really uncomfortable too. But because everybody else is the same, like, oh yeah, very funny, you don't know. But the reality is, if you're uncomfortable, there's almost certainly somebody else in the room who's going to be uncomfortable. And even if you don't feel confident enough to say anything at the time, and saying something at the time also feels uncomfortable. And I think that's part of all this, is we have to accept and to understand that it's okay to feel uncomfortable while you say something, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. But you can go up to someone afterwards and check in with them, and and if they also felt uncomfortable, sometimes just knowing somebody else felt that is enough. Sometimes you want to take it further, and that's also fine.
It's nice to know that. Well, it's comforting to know that, oh, it wasn't just me. I'm not the bad person, the overthinking or just taking things out of hand. Someone else felt that this was inappropriate.
Yeah.
So I should do something about it because I felt this was inappropriate.
Yeah.
So I think that helps.
Yeah, and that's what training like that will be helpful, because it's not everyone that will have that immediate instinct of knowing what
Yeah.
to do in that situation. Just like someone who has been, who's feeling uncomfortable, their reaction might be to actually freeze and
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Similarly,
Very common.
someone who's near to them, they might have the same kind of, oh gosh, this is such an awkward situation. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. But a training like this, being an active bystander, where actually it can equip people to have different methods of
Yeah.
breaking up conversation, asking, what do you mean by that? Just giving different tools in people's arsenal
Yeah.
to use in that moment of, oh gosh, I don't know how to respond to this. I don't quite know what to do. So that will go a really long way with that kind of training, and then bringing it to the different departments and the teams as well. That's really good.
Yeah, and the active bystander training can also be brought to the departments. Becky will do that if they want that.
So the mandatory training, will this be like a yearly thing? Like, would you have to do it like every 6 months?
The mandatory training is usually annually. So
Annually or 3 yearly, depending.
it depends. Like your safeguarding would be annually, information governance. So I think the direction is that sexual safety will be mandatory for an annual basis. So, but what we want to do is we're going to continue to roll out the training.
Yeah.
And we're going to strengthen it as well with looking at how do we support first disclosure. And how do we set up? So what we do is, if there is first disclosure reporting mechanisms and an incident does come in, we have a decision-making group. So that would be some of us involved in that steering group. So the various disciplines like HR, safeguarding, well-being, and so we will. That is a kind of start of a process really to how we strengthen the reporting. And actually, I think the most important thing is psychological safety for those who disclose or those who report an incident, and that's something we're working on. We're going to start embedding that psychological safety training as well. But as a beginning and a launch, I think, like we said, the numbers, we're really pleased that
it's fantastic.
that it's been an appetite. And the other thing I wanted to mention is around, we've got the active bystander training, but what we've seen as well, a lot of allyship. So through the staff networks, we've got the LGBTQ plus staff network, the disability staff network, the race equality staff network, which is the Embrace network, and the women's network. And they really come together in terms of become allies. So with this piece of work, it's not just male and female, but there's an intersectionality related to it. And within the charter itself, one of the pledges is around what is the data around the intersectionality. So if you're Asian, gay, how does that impact? And you've been subject to sexual incident, there might be something around myth busting, there might be stigma, taboo attached to it. So with the staff networks and that allyship, I think that's so important.
It's really good. So it's really all hands on deck at the
Yeah.
moment, and it's great because it's all these things that you'll see contributing to that culture shift that we're hoping to see. Okay, great. So it's sexual safety charter. Pushing this with it's not just a joke.
Because we're like younger generation of doctors. This is all, okay, this is supposed to happen. How do you feel seeing this from all your experience from 20 years ago? Like, how does that make you feel?
I mean, better late than never, really. It's really good. I'm really pleased that we are starting to see some progress at work and, society in general. I find it really heartwarming that we shouldn't have to be, but we are where we are. But compared to what it was like when, 20, 25 years ago, whatever, when I was a junior doctor, and it was so different. There was absolutely nothing you could do. Nobody listened. And I know that there is still the feeling that that's still the case, but it isn't. And I do feel that slowly things are changing. And I'm so pleased that, that the generations to come hopefully won't have to go through quite the same and that it will just get better and better. Well, I hope so.
Yeah. And it's like a snowball effect as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
With what you've started, and then we can then build on this for the future. For instance, this local survey, perhaps there'll be, prospect for a repeat survey
yeah.
in future, and seeing the effect of all these
Yeah.
advancements and things that we're doing, seeing how they're actually changing things.
What do you think, nationally should be done about this? Because this is our trust. What about nationally? What do you hope for to happen nationally?
Oh goodness.
Just
I mean, it would be nice if
because this might spread.
Yeah, it would be nice if similar thing, if there was just an accountability, if that when people did speak up, that there was somewhere that people could speak up to, and that when they did, it was safe. I mean, you only have to look at the whole Epstein files, that these women have spoken up and it's just swept under the carpet and nobody does anything. And they still aren't safe to do this. Some of them there are people who've been through absolutely horrific things. And what I would really like to see nationally, globally, is perpetrators being held to account and there being consequences to actions. That's what I'd like to see, she says, in a dream world.
I agree. I think it's that reiterating the sanctions actually as well. And I think Andrew touched on the last episode around actually when a case does, the outcome of a case is not then kind of communicated to the victim, and that's something we need to work on. But something nationally, whether there can be some guidance to say actually we need to put up the individuals out there, the sanctions need to be clear. And I think it's role modeling as well. Those people in power need to set the standard in terms of this is zero tolerance. We will not, we will not tolerate any of this behaviour around sexual safety.
I think that's the whole thing where people think that nothing's being done because they're not being punished. Sometimes you are so hurt that you just want to see some accountability.
Yeah.
Not a 3-month suspension, and people are going to keep doing that. 3 months is like a holiday.
Yeah.
For doctors especially. You need to create this not, I wouldn't say fear, but this.
There has to be consequences.
Consequences, yes, if I do this, my years of training, my reputation is on the line.
Yeah. If the fact that this is the wrong thing to do isn't going to stop you, then maybe if there were other consequences that did matter to you, that might make you think twice.
Well, it's is this joke worth it? They might start thinking now, maybe not. Let me just keep my mouth shut and just go on with my life. I think people need to, GMC or NMC or whichever, they need to start holding people accountable for their actions. And victims need to know that this has...
Yes, and not just at GMC, NMC level, at trust level, at, that actually you're not saying that because somebody's a, eminent whatever in your trust, they matter more to you than a victim.
A person shouldn't feel like I can't report something because they're untouchable.
Yeah.
They're way high up on the ladder.
Yeah.
No one's going to believe me because I'm way down the ladder.
Yeah.
And I think there's this idea that why would you care when I'm disposable, but this person isn't?
Yeah.
So there needs to be a change around that instead.
Yeah. And that's all going to come with that shift in culture. When you start seeing these accountability, and you start seeing the impact and effects of it all. Are there any final thoughts before we again just signpost our listeners a little bit as to who they can go to seek for help and support if they happen to find themselves in any of these situations? Any final thoughts?
Well, I mean, thank you for having us on these episodes. It's really important topic, as you, I'm sure, have gathered. It's something I feel very passionately about. That any way that we can get people talking about this, I just think is really important. And I just, if one person listening thinks, feels confident enough to report something or to speak up or to go on the training, then that's
The
great.
job is done.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely. Brilliant.
Yeah, I agree. I turn in. We will continue to roll out. It's never just a joke campaign. So we will hope that we'll engage further. Like we said, we're going to go across sites, divisions as well. But just to reiterate that we are here to listen, to support anybody who's got a concern of sexual safety.
Yeah, brilliant. And just on that note, where can people go to for help in their local teams?
Yep. So you can always go to your line manager. If you're a junior doctor, your educational supervisor or your college tutor. If you don't feel safe or that you'd be listened to within that, there's the Freedom to Speak Up champions and the Freedom to Speak Up guardians in this trust and in every hospital trust. And then there's the wellbeing team. We've got a page on our hub, but you don't need to be on a trust computer to access it, where there's all sorts of help and support you can find. And then there are many national organisations that can help you. But do try and find someone, even if it's a friend, even if it's a colleague that you do trust, find someone to talk to, and then maybe just between the two of you, you can find a route to report something. But even if you don't want to report it, sometimes just talking to someone helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes just need someone to go with you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm always available. We've got a really good team here at Dudley who are here to support anyone and to listen.
Thank you so much again, Andrea. Thank you, Paul. It's lovely having you both on the
lovely
podcast.
to be here.
Thank you again to all our listeners, especially those who've stayed with us through the series. Well done to you all. And we really appreciate your engagement. Do comment, like the post, as much as you're comfortable sharing. Do engage with us. And if you'd like to take part in these podcasts, do feel free to engage the RGUC team, and we'll be sure to get in touch with you. All right. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye. Remember to stay connected with us on social media. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at RGUCMS, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, RGUC Media, for more exclusive content and updates. Thanks for tuning in to the Right Chamber podcast. Until next time.